She didn't leave behind a goodbye. She left behind a city that still whispered her name, and a son who didn't know whether to mourn or finally breathe. Her name was Vivian Hale. To the world, she was a real estate titan, an empire builder, a multi-billionaire mogul whose towers carved their names into the skyline. Investors called her visionary. Reporters called her ice. Competitors called her danger. To her son, Ethan, she was something far simpler. A closed door. A signature at the bottom of documents he never understood. A perfume that lingered in hallways long after she'd gone. A mother who belonged to everything except him. Ethan was 29 when she died. The news arrived suddenly. Vivian Hale was found unresponsive in her penthouse. No foul play. A medical event, they said. A heart that finally refused to keep carrying a woman who never learned how to set anything down. The city mourned her like a monument. Ethan watched from the edge of the crowd, feeling invisible inside his own grief. Cameras turned toward the building. Flowers filled the entrance. Statements were released, polished, painless. But Ethan's pain wasn't polished. It was quiet. It lived in the space where a phone call should have been. In childhood birthdays handled by assistants. In gifts wrapped by strangers. In the way she spoke to him, efficient, brief, like every sentence was another expense. He tried to cry, but the tears stayed trapped behind something harder. A wall built from years of waiting. Years of hoping she would look at him and see more than a liability. The funeral was exactly what the world expected. Black cars, private security, executives speaking about legacy. Ethan stood near the front, calm. People told him she was remarkable, that he must be proud, that she loved him. That last one almost made him flinch. Love had never been warm, never gentle, never choosing. After the funeral, Ethan expected things to feel final. But death doesn't always close doors. Sometimes it opens the ones you never knew existed. 3 days later, Ethan was summoned to his mother's private estate, a mansion hidden behind iron gates and tall trees. Inside waited Mary Ann, Vivian's longtime attorney, and another woman, quiet, composed, early 30s. Her name was Celeste. Mary Ann explained that Celeste had been named in Vivian's private instructions. Vivian's will was deliberate. Ethan would inherit nearly everything, but not immediately. First, he had to spend 30 days living at the estate, with Celeste. Vivian had also left letters, one for Ethan, one for Celeste. That night, Ethan took the envelope with his name on it. For the first time in years, he was about to hear his mother without interruption. He broke the seal and read. Vivian's handwriting was sharp and controlled. She wrote that she knew Ethan would hate her. Not for dying, for living the way she did. She admitted she built her empire out of fear. Fear of weakness. Fear of being discarded. Fear that softness would cost her everything. She wrote that she tried to raise him with strength, but instead, she raised him with absence. Then she admitted something Ethan never expected. She said she was proud of him, always had been, but she was terrified to show it, because needing anyone was something she never learned how to do. Ethan didn't cry. The letter shifted. Vivian wrote about Celeste. She wrote that Celeste saw her without the armor, saw her hands shake, heard her cough in the dark. Then came the truth. Vivian believed Ethan's life had been quietly influenced by someone close to her, someone who benefited from distance. Ethan knew the name immediately. Gregory, her second husband, the man who convinced her that discipline mattered more than closeness, that distance was protection. Over the following days, Ethan found proof: hidden documents, bank transfers, investigation reports, evidence that reshaped his entire childhood. Ethan didn't explode. He grew quiet, and quiet meant awake. At the final meeting, Ethan placed the truth on the table, not with anger, with clarity. Legal action would follow, not revenge, restoration. Later, Ethan sat alone in Vivian's study, and for the first time, he let the grief come, not as rage, but as sorrow. Vivian Hale had not been heartless. She had been afraid. A woman who built skyscrapers because she didn't know how to build closeness. And in the end, she tried, quietly, to give her son what she never could while living: the truth. And truth doesn't shout. Truth reveals itself. And once it does, you don't become louder. You become free.